Hi, it's Alasdair Rettie. So I'm Technical Director within Pinacl Solutions. And Pinacl Solutions are our managed service provider systems integrator. And we've developed a range of smart city solutions, including dark fiber networks and Wi-Fi. And we got interested in Internet of Things as being another layer to fit on top of the solutions that we offer. So about 3 years ago, we started looking at LoRaWAN with a view to deploying that into a city. We've got Newport in South Wales, where we actually have a dark fiber network, a wireless overlay network, and we then put in a LoRaWAN IoT network. And from there, we've learned a lot about LoRaWAN, learned a lot about IoT and the ups and downs of it, and are involved from the design, installation, maintenance of LoRaWAN networks through to developing our own IoT solutions as well.
Great. And a little bit about just your own personal background, Alasdair?
Yes, my background, I've been with Pinacl since '89. My background, I'm an electronic engineer by trade, so I like technical things. And as I say, worked with Pinacl through designing various networks and solutions. And actually see IoT is not a new thing, but I think it's a coming together of good sensor technology that the batteries will last multiple years, great software that allows you to develop intelligence at the edge, and it opens it up for more people, more companies to develop sensor solutions. So IoT fits my sort of background, is an interest in technology.
Cool, thank you so much. And Mark, if you could just talk a little bit about you and the role that you play as well, and your own journey as well.
Okay, sure. So Mark Lowe, I'm the Business Development Director at Pinacl Solutions. I've been with the company now for 11 years, I think it is. Personal journey for that, obviously with working very closely with Alasdair, we've kind of spearheaded Pinacl's IoT journey. We were given that remit probably 4 years ago, almost now. And obviously on the basis of, as Alasdair said, we were already doing dark fiber networks, we were doing public Wi-Fi and corporate Wi-Fis. Our mentality is there are these 3 layers to a smart city. You know, infrastructure, i.e. the fiber, where you can, of course, that middle layer of Wi-Fi and flexible user interface, and then that icing on the cake being the IoT. So as Alasdair said, we took a decision probably 4 years ago to just go ahead basically and design and build and deploy and manage a LoRaWAN network in Newport in South Wales. Newport were an existing customer of ours in the council, and they were looking to technology to trial and pilot some new ideas, some new ways of working. And they were looking at IoT as one such opportunity. So really, we went ahead and invested and built that network. And obviously, it was a great learning curve for us. It put us on that journey. And then we've worked with the council on a number of pilots and opportunities to do it. Air quality, waste management are a couple of key ones. Since then, it's obviously allowed us to kick on from that. And, you know, smart cities and smart places, absolutely what we do. We've now got further smart city deployments, if you would, Aberdeen, York, and obviously we're talking to a number of others, always with the access or the sort of emphasis on it being open access. So even in Newport, we own it, we operate it, but it's an open door for people to use that network. And then, as Alasdair said, you know, that's certainly that journey, painful in the early days, without a doubt, particularly around sensor manufacturers. And you know, there's only so much qualification you can do on a product until you actually deploy it in a real life environment, and then realize how many shortcomings it may have. So that's been an interesting journey, but we're very comfortable where we are. You know, we're always happy to share the pain because it's what we went through, but that's allowed us to be where we are today. Very much IoT though is not one technology. LoRaWAN absolutely is our heritage. But we're already in talks with mobile operators, in advanced talks with mobile operators about NB-IoT, LTE, M as an example. but we're also aware of Sigfox and those other technologies. So we've got a quite rounded solution and ability. And then, as Alasdair quite rightly said, we've also allowed us to do a bit of development in the application side of things. So again, these sensors is great, but actually making that data something tangible to a customer, that's what they want. So, you know, Alasdair spearheaded our software development team to come up with like a smart city dashboard or a smart place dashboard. And with the aim of it being a repository and a central place where one person can go and look at all of their IoT for a city. It's not always the case for everything IoT, but certainly there's a number of elements that we do. And then probably just the last bit on IoT, where we are as a company, is social housing is very much a strong area for us at the moment, in terms of a solution that we're taking to market, which is something that we're continuing to focus on. But yeah, sorry, that's sort of my overview of where we are and how I've got here.
No, that's great. And I really like you guys as an example, because you were in the smart city first, and then IoT came as a part of a solution that you identified, rather than the other way around, where some people are IoT companies going into smart cities. So I like the perspective that you both gave there. And Alasdair, if I ask you to answer the question specifically, you kind of touched on it on your initial answer there about what IoT is. So again, from your particular perspective here, looking at someone who's identified it as being something that can be part of your solution, can you just say kind of why you chose IoT, or what it does that you weren't able to do otherwise?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. So IoT it's like a lot of things in this industry. It's not new. Mobile to mobile has been around for ages, and as I said, there seems to be a perfect storm of sensors that will last multiple years, software and processors that will allow you to do some great things, and the cost and the entry level. So LoRaWAN is unlicensed, and therefore to deploy a network, it's not straightforward, but it's not beyond the means of a company to do that. And IoT to me allows people to do things that they were not able to do before, because they can deploy sensors out and leave them for 5 years. Because quite often, a business case would fall down because they'd have to go and change the batteries in 6 months, or they'd have to try and find power. So it allows you to do things you couldn't do before, but things that you can do, it allows you to do them more efficiently or quicker or cheaper, or gives you more raw data. And everybody knows data now is king, getting the information in. If you can get real-time rich data, you can make better decisions quicker. So that's the exciting bit that we're seeing. And again, coming from that systems integrator managed service provider, it was straightforward. We are designing our own solutions, but equally we will take on third-party solutions and deploy them. And we are seeing commercial success on the IoT projects that we're deploying, and we are seeing customers accepting IoT, because that's the other thing, is there's all these great opportunities, but quite often people will be stuck in silos and will be reluctant to make that step and accept them. We now have over 16,000 intelligent lighting nodes deployed in Aberdeen. They're a great customer to work with, but that was a step forward for them to actually embrace that technology, and they're now looking at various other solutions within the city that they can use that network for. And because we're open access, we're not preventing other people coming in to use that network as well. The beauty of it is you want as many people and other companies that can come in to help your customer deliver what IoT promises.
Great, thank you. And some really nice examples there. But maybe Mark, you could expand for me on, like you talked in your introduction a lot about the ecosystem that is the IoT ecosystem, and a number of the different potential technologies, LoRaWAN, Sigfox, through to NB-IoT, etc. But I'm also interested about the ecosystem within smart cities. So you've got the technology ecosystem that thinks in a certain way, but smart cities operate potentially in a completely different way, their own ecosystem, their own decision making. How do you kind of bridge that gap in order to kind of get the solution that works in one world and help it kind of work in a different world, or in real life, I should maybe say.
Okay, yeah, you're absolutely right. In terms of making a smart city, it's what's worked for us in the examples that we've got, and that's why it's not as if we're sat here saying we've got 50 smart cities. There's as much an emphasis on the city themselves having an aspiration and a genuine desire to move to a smart city, because actually they have to take an element of responsibility themselves to bring people together. Because like you've absolutely said, ultimately in the real world, what happens is that you talk to a local authority, for example, or around a smart city, and you've got multiple directorates, for want of a better word, within a council, multiple departments. And really to help a smart city be what it needs to be, is Alasdair touched on it, there's got to be a cost-effective element to it. Now, obviously what we liked around LoRaWAN is that, you know, if an investment had been made in creating that LoRaWAN network, there's an absolute plethora of compatible sensors that you could bring in that are LoRaWAN enabled. And therefore, if I put that into a scenario, in York, for example, we have worked with the council very closely. We've invested into building a LoRaWAN network that pretty much covers the whole city now. And then what the council are doing is they're now beginning to embrace it. So one of the first things they've looked at is their housing stock and a pilot to use our Tempus solution, which is the social housing property management solution. So we're using the IoT sensors in properties to help them control, hopefully, and prevent and intervene proactively around damp and mold situations in properties. Using that same technology, we can help them manage unauthorized occupancy, flag void properties, and even actually give them some early warning indicators around potential fuel poverty cases as well. So there's some really strong stories that they can do. But that same LoRaWAN network, we're talking to them about intelligent waste monitoring and management. That's a conversation that's happening at the moment. Just before the lockdown happened, they were about to deploy a reasonably sized intelligent lighting pilot using the LoRaWAN network. We're talking to them about air quality sensors using the LoRaWAN network. We've looked at ways that we can help them potentially with anything from sort of Legionella monitoring and testing using the LoRaWAN network. Now, York are another one where they've got the benefit of a dark fiber network across the city anyway, that we pioneered for them 10 years ago now. We also have the benefit of having the public Wi-Fi network across most of the city as well. So again, us making this commitment to York, but the council committing to us. And as I said, when I've run through those propositions, not one of those sits with the IT department, who are our traditional contacts, if you would, within a local authority. They're absolutely a fundamental part and a strong supporter and believer in it. But there's that coordination across the streets team, the facilities team, because all of the housing team, it's a multidisciplinary opportunity, and it needs them to come together and work together to break those barriers for the greater benefit. So the ecosystem, yeah, it's finding the right people who want to do it as well, and then we can help them. We said about LoRaWAN is sweating an asset, but as you said, the evolution now with NB-IoT and the LTE scenarios is, if I carry on that using York as the example, we're working with a very prominent mobile operator who happens to be very strong in that area around LTE, to look at how we actually demonstrate a hybrid approach as well. And then therefore, in terms of putting that right the way back to something I said earlier on, that what clients really value is the visibility of the data, not the sensors, not the network. It's that dashboard that allows them to see the data that they can take action against, or they can use to help form future decisions and investments and strategies. The great thing about the dashboard that we were working with York on is that the housing, the air quality, the waste management, environmental is another one in terms of flood monitoring or river monitoring, all using the same dashboard. and that dashboard can be used whether you're using LoRaWAN, LTE, Sigfox, Wi-Fi. We actually don't mind, and that's great because we've got total flexibility, and it also means that it's a fluid environment, which is what the councils or the authorities need. They don't feel they want to be restricted to one technology, and nor should they be. We're not saying that for 1 minute. So we're happy to embrace the different technologies and work with the local authorities. And then that's what Alasdair said in his introduction about Pinacl. You know, our fundamental being is something of a systems integrator.
Yeah.
So that's what we are good at. We can bring all these technologies together and transform them into meaningful and useful and practical solutions. So
we could have multiple entry points. You know, it doesn't need to start with building a fiber network or having a wireless network. If the customer's already got a fiber network, we can help them enhance it. So we're very flexible about how and what we can deliver.
Okay, well, so thank you, Mark. That was great. And Alasdair, if we then kind of take that next step along the thinking, then so Mark touched on there that it was traditionally silos, and now this has changed, but at every single department almost this can potentially touch. What advice do you have for people getting started? So this is not just your customers or not just smart cities, but just anyone who's thinking about kind of have identified a problem in their industry. They've identified IoT as being something that could help them, and they want to get a dashboard or data. What advice do you have for a company like that who wants to get started, who gets lost because there's so many options, so many sensors, so many different possibilities?
I would say, first of all, come and talk to Pinacl. but I think in terms of, you need a stakeholder, you need somebody that believes in it, you need to understand what it is, what your problem is. And that's an interesting thing. So what Pinacl don't do is we don't go and force a solution down our customers' necks. As I said to you, IoT is not new. The problems are not new. It's listen to what the customer's problems are, and then offer up the technical solutions that can support that. So you should find a partner that takes that approach, because you know what your problems are and you know how you want it to be fixed, and therefore the partner that you select should have the flexibility to adjust or modify that solution to meet your needs. And that's very much our approach. We will resell third-party solutions. We will develop our own solutions to meet exactly what the customer needs. We've just won a smart building contract where we could have provided the dashboard for that solution, but all the customer wanted was us to deliver the LoRaWAN network, to deploy smart sensors within their buildings and outside their buildings, collate that data into a time-based database, and then make it available via a rich API, because they already had some back-end analytic systems. So we did that. We're not going to waste time trying to sell them a dashboard when they don't need that, but we will provide them with robust communications, connectivity, and the data that they want. So, somebody out there who they should explore what their challenges are, but then find out a partner like ourselves that they can just talk through the solutions, because it'll be the customer that will have the answer. We'll just provide the technology and the capability.
Okay, thank you. And then I'd like both of you to answer the next question, which is again kind of taking another step back and looking kind of very holistically again about what success means. And I think one of you in the preparation for this talked about innovation going mainstream, and the fact that what does success mean to you as people, but also people who are implementing IoT at the really kind of cutting edge or kind of cold face into people who've never used it before. So maybe Alasdair, you could go first of just what success means to you.
Yeah, so being a technical person, I'm driven by a sense of achievement and delivering a thing. So when I listen to a customer and they've got a challenge or a problem, then pulling that solution together and actually giving them that savings, or pulling in, allowing them to deliver something they've never been able to do before, that to me is a success. And therefore, And it's a bit going back to when we started looking at IoT. It seemed as though everybody already had the solutions already there, but when you scratched beneath the surface, a lot of it was smoke and mirrors. So we took the decision to build out an actual smart city and an IoT network. So, and that was success to me, because actually we had it there. If somebody came and asked us a question, we could show them it in reality. So I think, and it's the team within. So it's the team within Pinacl that I work with, but it's also the team with our customers, because it is a partnership. And that's how what I feel is success.
Thank you. And Mark, anything to add?
Yeah, I think for me it's around that being a little bit bolder. I think one of my beliefs is sometimes you just have to take the risk. You know, it was a risky decision for us to build that IoT network in Newport. Great that we had a real need to do it. We had a customer in terms of the council who had some use cases they were keen to try. But the actual, probably the success for me within that as well was actually a spin-off opportunity. So it actually allowed us to go and talk to the local housing association in Newport, who were at that time, this is 3 years ago, beginning to look at whether or not technology could help them do their business in a more efficient manner. And this was in particular relevance to the likes of repairs and ongoing maintenance that they have. And damp and mold is something that's very, very prevalent within housing associations. And what costs them money, in effect, is a lot of remedial works around damp and mold. And it was that conversation for me that was a real success, because actually what started as a opportunist conversation led Alasdair and I to go away and work up a solution that that Newport City Homes were happy to try. And actually they put us on the journey to what is Tempest today. But what was great, why I would say that is a success is, yes, Tempest is gaining a huge amount of traction in the housing association world as we speak, which is success in itself, obviously, maybe perhaps, business type level. But the personal success is absolutely a decision Alasdair and I took 3-4 years ago, evolving, and actually customers being part of that evolution. They've helped craft what is Tempest today, because we're systems integrators, we're technology people. Tempest and the way that Tempest works now, there's science involved in it. It's not just about the sensors and the tech. We've partnered them. We've introduced a partner to our proposition, and we work with a company called Cornerstone. And these guys are absolute matter experts around moisture and how it works. And we've integrated them as part of Tempest. So another element of success to me is that it's allowed us to work with another specialist company who do their own thing, but together we've created something pretty special, which, out there in the market is being recognized as such. So yeah, I think with that solution, there's a personal satisfaction and success story, as well as a business one and a market one. So yeah, they're the things that matter to me.
Cool. Thank you so much, both of you.